Alright, listen up folks. Welcome to today's Mandatory Intelligence Explanator. I am your commanding officer for this session, and we're operating under strictly classified, high-level security clearance today. You're in this room because the threat matrix we're currently managing is escalating, and your operational awareness isn't just a box to check anymore, it's quite literally a matter of life or death. So we're going to dive straight into the dossier on the anomaly designated SCP-019. What we're dealing with here completely defies standard biological and physical laws, and understanding the parameters of this threat is pretty much the only thing standing between containment and a site-wide catastrophic breach. We've got 5 key areas to cover: containment protocols, a physical overview, entity analysis, manifestation catalysts, and finally, entity evolution. Strict adherence to this intelligence is absolutely non-negotiable, so let's get right into it. Section 1. Containment protocols and parameters. The primary objective of this briefing, and honestly of your entire assignment here, is maintaining absolute, unwavering control over this anomaly. Now, SCP-019 is designated as a Keter-class anomaly. For anyone newly transferred to this wing, Keter doesn't just mean dangerous, okay? It means the anomaly is exceedingly difficult to contain consistently or reliably. It's an active, complex, and ongoing threat to everyone in this facility and the outside world. There's zero margin for error when you're dealing with Keter objects. Seriously, if you blink, if you hesitate for even a second, containment fails. So here are your primary containment directives. SCP-019 has to be kept resting on a wide grate inside a precise 3x3 by 4 meter reinforced concrete room. Second, the ambient temperature has to be kept at exactly 0 degrees Celsius at all times when the incinerator isn't running. Third, the object must remain strictly vertical, and we'll get into exactly why that's so crucial in just a minute. Finally, a high-grade incinerator needs to be installed, kept on standby, and monitored from a separate chamber behind plate glass. Now, if a localized outbreak happens, ordinary firearms are authorized. They work fine for taking down single targets. But if you're looking at a swarm-level breach, standard firearms are completely useless. At that point, flamethrowers and the room's incinerator are your mandatory countermeasures. Moving on to Section 2, the physical overview of SCP-019. Let's pivot away from how we cage this thing and look at the actual anomalous object itself. So, what are we actually looking at? Well, metric-wise, SCP-019 appears to be a massive ceramic vase. It stands 2.4 meters high with a mouth diameter of 1.8 meters. Based on the style and the decoration, it looks like it was created in classical Greece. But here's the kicker. Conclusive dating is absolutely impossible. Why? Because the surface material is entirely unbreakable by any known scientific or anomalous means. And let me be unequivocally clear about your standing orders here. If our research teams ever discover a method to bypass its indestructible surface, the directive is immediate destruction of SCP-019 with extreme prejudice. We don't want to study this object any further, we just want to end it. Section 3. SCP-0192 Entity Analysis. We're shifting focus now from the indestructible vase to the secondary physical threat, the hostile entities that periodically crawl out of it. We've got a severe tactical dichotomy going on here. On the one hand, you have the primary source, SCP-0119, indestructible, totally static, just an inanimate ceramic object. But on the other hand, you have the output, which we designate SCP-0119-2. These are biological, delicate, surprisingly flammable, and highly hostile swarms. These entities are small, vaguely humanoid, usually showing some weird animalistic features, and they will immediately attack personnel using teeth and claws. Now, individually, they're fragile, but they are reasonably strong, and their threat level multiplies exponentially when they swarm in large numbers. To really understand the biology here, consider this chilling observation from Dr. Vox's dissection logs. He noted, "It appears that SCP-019-2 specimens were not intended to live for meaningful amounts of time outside of SCP-019. Think about that. Captured specimens kept in reinforced pens, even when we give them live food like chickens, they don't even last 48 hours. They make these garbled noises that sound faintly like ancient Hellenic, but they possess absolutely no intelligence higher than a wild animal. The dissections revealed a total nightmare of biology. Highly unstable musculoskeletal structures, messed up respiratory systems, and virtually no digestive tract. They are literally biological weaponry. They are designed for one purpose: to spawn, inflict brief, violent attacks, and then die rapidly." Section 4. Catalysts for Entity Manifestation. Now that you know what we're fighting, let's accelerate the pace a bit and talk about environmental triggers. You need to know exactly what causes these things to spawn. One entity per hour. Burn that metric into your brain. That is our absolute baseline manifestation rate. But you need to understand, we only get that baseline when the object is kept perfectly at rest, strictly vertical, and locked in an environment of precisely 0 degrees Celsius. That's our best case scenario. The moment we deviate from that baseline, containment is compromised. Here are the confirmed catalysts that violently accelerate the manifestation rate. Any movement of SCP-019, any perceived threat to the object, extreme temperature highs or lows, and dropping any foreign objects or organisms inside the vase triggers a catastrophic flood reaction. Furthermore, and this is wild, tipping or tilting the object creates a complete optical and physical nightmare. If you look in from above, all you see is a dark hole, but tipping it, that causes a massive swarm outbreak, exactly as if the object was entirely filled with SCP-019-2 specimens. The internal cavity completely defies outside physical measurements. Beyond those confirmed triggers, you also need to be aware of the suspected catalysts that we're actively investigating. The manifestation rates seem to spike based on the sheer proximity of human life, shifts in current weather patterns, and, honestly, the most disturbing one, the presence of specific personnel. Certain individuals seem to inexplicably agitate the object, causing faster emergence rates just by standing near containment. So if you notice an uptick in spawns during your shift, report it immediately. You might literally be the trigger. Alright, Section 5, Entity Evolution and Escalating Threat. I need everyone to pay very close attention to this final section because it highlights the severe gravity of our recent intelligence updates. The biology of SCP-019-2 is not static, it is learning. Just take a look at this evolutionary timeline. Initially, as we discussed, the entities had frail biology, dying in less than 2 days. But then, our monitoring teams actually missed some containment damage because the specimens had developed partial transparency, active camouflage that had never been documented before. Following that, they started showing increased resistance to incineration. And now, the latest logs from Dr. Light confirm that most specimens are virtually immune to the effects of our thermal incinerators. They are adapting to our lethal countermeasures at a truly terrifying speed. Because they've evolved to resist fire, our operational tactics have to pivot immediately. A directive update is already in progress. The complete replacement of our thermal incinerators with high-grade acid baths is currently under tactical review. We are quite literally being forced into an arms race with an indestructible piece of pottery. Which brings us to the most grave question of today's intelligence explainer, and something every security commander in this room has to think about. This evolution of SCP-019-2 points to a reactionary defense mechanism. So, is SCP-019 demonstrating hostile sentience? Is this unbreakable vase actively analyzing our defenses and engineering better killers to break containment? And if so, how long can our static containment protocols really hold out against an enemy factory that is indestructible, unmeasurable, and constantly adapting? Dismissed. Return to your posts and keep your eyes on the glass. This concludes today's briefing. If you wish to maintain your current clearance level and ensure continued access to the Versarian database, a subscription to this channel is mandatory. Secure your connection by leaving a like on this file, and log your requests in the comments section below to dictate which anomaly we unseal next. Stay vigilant and expect your next set of logs every day. Secure, contain, protect.